Romanticism movement was largely in response to the shortcomings of the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution. While progress in industry and science all have their benefits, what's the point of innovation if living conditions are made worse for the majority of people? If we want to be completely free from the oppression of the elite minority, then we need to scale back civilization and return to the utopia of nature, where the civilization based in private property, the same private property that causes envy, greed, and shame, doesn't exist. Even if Marxist communism was achieved, human greed wouldn't just go away. As long as civilization exists, then so will the people who want to rig it in their favor. The world needs to stop being so dog eats dog and have more compassion and empathy for others and their experience.
How can the world stop being dog eat dog when we continue the historic division of the bourgeoisie and the proletariat? Throughout history, we see the unbalance between people is created by the unbalance of classes, which eventually creates oppressors and the oppressed, along with the eventual crumbling of the nation. In order to prevent this crumbling and oppression, we must turn to the power of communism to break this unequal trend, and in doing so prevent further practices that create the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. That being stated, stripping civilization and private property from society means that one favors a more primitive communism. However, what happens if resources run out? Wouldn't greed then emerge from within those who need the resources to survive, and in turn create the private property that is argued against by the Romanticists? Wouldn't that be causing the probability of creating another series of the bourgeoisie and the proletariat? Communism is the most beneficial path because it isn't stepping back in time to restart the system. It is quitting the system and liberating the minds of the citizens from questions of their own well-being, and in so freeing them from greed.
Romanticism is the only way for a man to allow himself to live a free and fulfilling life. Everything based off of science and reason will eventually block an individual from achieving this free lifestyle. People get turned into cold machines through science and reason and cannot do as they please because this science and reason tells them so. People need to follow their hearts because their hearts truly know what will make them happy, while science and reason do not. The use of one's imaginations and ideas based off emotion will ultimately lead to individuals living a free lifestyle. In a world of science and reason, there is a belief in private property. Private property eventually leads to competition and eventually greed as well. Therefore, in a romanticism world, the abolishment of private property will lead to less conflict and a free life. One might ask, why not Marxism? Even though Marxism eventually leads to communism, which utilizes no private land, there is still science and reason present. The presence of science and reason will allow there to still be conflict since individuals cannot find happiness on their own. People need to put their emotions over reason and science because reason and science do not know what is best for the individual. Only the individual knows what is best for themselves.
Why have an established government? Shouldn't everybody just get to be free? There are so many rules that everybody has to follow on what they can and can't do. Not everybody gets a say in these rules either. The reason why Marxism is the way to go is because people wouldn't have to worry about having somebody over them, and some people don't like being bossed around, and so with Marxism, they wouldn't be. I think lots of people would enjoy living under Marxism. I also have to deal with getting things taken away from them. But what if people go crazy and just do whatever they want? With Marxism, I think that people could be free but also still have some rules. Even with no government to watch over them, people could come together and collectively come up with ideas for their rules. This could be a step in the historical progression of economic systems because it would play out the behavior and conflict between social classes. Every society is divided among a number of social classes whose members have more in common with another than the members of other social classes. So clearly Marxism is the way to go because with it, people could get to know other people and people wouldn't have problems that they already have with the government and they would be